All right. Hey everybody, guess what? We are back. This is African Frame Podcast. I'm not alone as usual. I'm with a book author, screenwriter, and a film director, Rob Sibeko. You can check out his latest book called Jin's War. Do get yourself a copy. I do leave the link in the descriptions below. This book is only $50, guys. 50 rands. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the notification bell icon so that you can be notified of any other films that Rob and I might release in the future. All right. So what are we? What is this podcast? This is African Frame Podcast. What do we do here? We dissect films. Think of DVD commentary that you used to watch back in the day, through bonus features where you watch an entire film and there's commentary throughout the film. But instead of us actually showing you the entire film, we're just going to be narrating it to you, painting you a picture, and dissecting it in between. So yeah, I'm Mr. Extrodin, and yeah, let's get into it. Rob, is there anything you want to say before we get started?
Nope. Support me if you can. This is not actually the book; it's a different book. But support. Looks like that. Yeah, let's do this.
Cool. All right, guys. So today we're gonna be doing Green Book. Green Book is actually based on a true story um, of a tour, right, of the Deep South by African American pianist Don Shirley and Italian bouncer and later actor Frank Tony Lip. Uh, Vallelonga. Yes, yes. The film won an Academy Award for Best Picture, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actor for Ali. Right? It had a budget of 23 million, and it made 321.8 million at the box office. The film stars Viggo Mortensen, Mahershalaali, and Linda Cardellini. Those are you can say are the three main characters of this film. Um, I didn't mention the year, did I? So it came out in 2018. Is it me or is time flying, Rob? I don't know. It just feels like time is flying. Because this thing
Yeah.
felt like it came out only yesterday, you know?
For me, that's the COVID effect.
The what?
Time travel. COVID makes everything feel like time.
Oh, right. And I do remember when it came, like Mahershala Ali, he won an Academy Award for supporting actor in Moonlight, and a few years later, then he won an Academy Award for supporting actor for this role. So that must have been something else. I don't think something like that has been done before, especially for a black actor.
He's
I mean,
the Pharrell Williams of
the Pharrell Williams.
acting, supporting roles.
Oh yeah, I get you. I
That's
get you.
that best lead yet.
Yes. So maybe let's just go through the cast that we just mentioned now. So Viggo Mortensen, we've spoken about Viggo Mortensen before. He has, well, he's mostly known for playing Aragorn in Lord of the Rings, or the trilogy, Lord of the Rings, The Twin Towers, and Return of the King.
Yep.
And he was in Carlito's Way in '93. Was in Crimson Tide in '95. Was in G.I. Jane in '97.
Mm-hmm.
Was in 28 Days in 2000. And then he was in Captain Fantastic in 2016. That's Viggo right there.
Well,
Brilliant
I would
actor.
say the bigger ones would definitely be The Road. The ones
The
that
Road.
he's actually really known for. In terms of like him being as a leading man, The Road is the post-apocalyptic movie where it's him and his son. Masterpiece, in my opinion.
I'm not
Also,
familiar with The Road. Okay.
Oh no, it's a masterpiece. You should definitely watch it. I recommend it to the death. The History
All
of
right.
Violence is definitely a classic. People know that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one more that is a absolute masterpiece as well, but now I can't find it. The one where he plays a Russian. He plays a Russian.
He's also a photographer, apparently.
Eastern Promises.
Pardon?
Oh, Eastern Promises. That one he learned the Russian lifestyle. He plays a Russian gangster.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
he
Isn't that
learned
why he went to like method?
Yes. He's
Yeah.
he gets ridiculously into one of his roles. Honestly, to me, he's one of those guys where I feel like we need to start talking to him on the level of Daniel Day-Lewis in a way when it comes to his
Yes.
effort that he involves. But
100%.
definitely not noticed enough for that. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I feel like he's like the Michelson brothers, like you mentioned Daniel Day-Lewis, like people who okay, maybe let me not put Daniel Day-Lewis with the Michelson brothers, but what I'm just trying to say is that people that are so brilliant that they're not even commercially recognized to a certain extent. It's like they're an actor's actor
Yeah,
instead
they
of
disappear.
being,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely. I think they disappear so well that we don't notice them enough.
And
Absolutely.
maybe they don't want the fame. I don't know.
True enough. Like I feel like one of the reasons we all know Brad Pitt so well is because often most of the time he plays Brad Pitt. You think about it. Brad Pitt
Yes,
often plays Brad Pitt.
but it's also like the media covers him so much that eventually like you will know who he is because he's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's PR or what,
Oh,
but
that and Brad Pitt is a beautiful man. Let's not kid ourselves.
yeah.
Nobody.
But Vigo is not an ugly man
Yeah,
though.
of course. But I'm just saying that people like that pretty boy vibe, especially in the post 90s.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
There was a period where like Leonardo DiCaprio's face and Brad Pitt's face was it, and
Yeah,
like George Clooney almost took a back step for a second there. Like,
but at a point also Johnny Depp was like number one for a while.
oh, definitely,
Yeah, so you're
definitely.
right.
Again, it was that pretty. It was like that what you call it, grunge band, the musician type vibe
Yeah,
face you were going for.
almost goth type of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost feel like Viggo Mortensen was almost born in the wrong time period. If he had been born in the Christopher Reeves time period,
Yes.
I think he
Yeah.
would have been a lot more like Bruce Willis time period. I feel like if he had blown
Oh,
up that Bruce Willis
yeah. Oh,
Reeves
yes.
that time period, I feel like his face would have fit a lot more there.
Or the Steve McQueen era.
Even then, yeah, that's not
Yeah.
bad. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. Bronson. I don't know if you know Charles Bronson.
I'm
That
not
dude was
sure.
considered a heartthrob. Once upon a time in the West, of course, the Death Wish movies.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you know Bronson.
Charles Bronson does
Yes,
sound
Charles
familiar,
Bronson.
but I also think you know the Bud Spencer and Terence Hill era as well.
Yes, Terence Hill is probably maybe not say Bud Spencer, but Terence Hill, yeah.
Sorry, I just meant by that era. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that time period.
Yes.
Maybe slightly a little bit after.
Oh yes, I do know Charles Bronson.
Yeah,
Didn't he star in those
the Death Wish
movies
movies.
that you like talking about? Yeah.
The Death Wish movies or
The
the
Death Wish. Yes.
the
The Death
West?
Wish.
Oh, okay,
The
yeah,
Death Wish movies, yeah.
definitely that was him, and he was 60 years old by the time the fifth movie came out.
That's crazy, bro.
Yep, but yeah, Viggo Mortensen, master, brilliant, and I think you can tell. I don't know if he literally put on weight for this movie. It feels like he did.
No, he did. He definitely did. He must have.
Yeah, because
He must have.
that's not a fat suit. That's if you probably just put on weight for that.
Yeah.
I don't think those are prosthetics.
And then we have Mahershalaali. The first time I think I've mentioned this before. The first time I got exposed to this man was when I was watching the 4400, which is a series that was really good. Came around the same time as Desperate Housewives when it came out. Came out before Heroes. Was as I think it was even better than Heroes at the time when it came out. But yeah, then because it came out between 2004 and 2007.
Okay, I watched the whole thing. I would definitely say maybe the early seasons.
Yeah, I think
But I
season
feel like
one. Season
Caleb,
one
I
for
think
sure.
overall 4400 beats Heroes, but first two seasons of Heroes are a masterpiece. So I feel like it's
100%.
unfair It's like, imagine like you start here and you do this, whereas they were just like this. So do you know what I mean?
Sorry, do that again.
Heroes was this, and then this,
Mm.
and then 4400 was like this. Yeah, like that.
No, I get you, but it got cancelled quickly as well. So
no, it ended, man. I remember the final episode
of the 4400, but it got cancelled.
Okay, fine, but they gave themselves an ending. Let's put it like that.
Okay, I get you.
It was cancelled, but they gave themselves an ending, and the ending was not bad. I enjoyed it.
Okay, I need to watch it properly. And then yeah, he was also on Crossing Jordan. He was on The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Do you know what he was, in my opinion? To me,
Yeah.
he was that TV show actor that's always good. Like the guy that plays Crowley or the guy that plays Lucifer in Supernatural. I don't know if you watch Supernatural.
No.
Or what's his face? The guy from Far Cry. John Esposito, Breaking Bad. Everything he's in is good. You know what I mean? But then for some reason, out of nowhere, he just kind of blew up and then became something else entirely.
Ah, I get you.
I feel like that's what Mahershalaali became, in my opinion. Like he really he was just normally the best person in the TV show, and then he just became the best person in general. Like,
have you watched Luke Cage?
Of course, yes.
Have you seen how different Luke Cage became after he left?
Well, definitely.
It was no longer the same.
But it's so funny because not like the writers left. No, they just.
He just dwindled.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Just hold on to that. It's like a level of quality that can't be explained.
Yeah. And then, it's like that thing, when we used to watch soapies when we were kids, when an actor that we knew and love is replaced by another actor, the new actor is not bad. They're just not that actor that we're already used to.
It's like the next person that plays Wolverine. I'm sure they won't be bad, but.
Or Tony Stark. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But have you noticed that with Batman, we're always skeptical until we watch the movie? We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I feel like that has a lot to do with the director.
Yes.
Even though I feel like, I would say we were less skeptical of Jokers. Like, I don't know about you, but I was excited about what's his face becoming the Joker until it was terrible.
Yeah, I was also excited until I saw the movie. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, because how you take an Oscar winner and then do that to him? But yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, then we have Linda Cardellini. Oh man, I've had a thing for Linda Cardellini since the Scooby-Doo movies. Back in the early 2000s. So she played Velma Dinkley in Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo, the sequel to Scooby-Doo. She was in Legally Blonde, Brokeback Mountain. She was in Daddy's Home. She was in Avengers as Hawkeye's wife. Well, Avengers Age of Ultron. She was also in Hawkeye, the series. She was in Grandma's Boy, if you remember Grandma's Boy.
Yeah.
Where she had blonde hair in that one. Actually, I think she started in Freaks and Geeks, or she gained prominence in Freaks and Geeks, which is a series. I mean, you could say that it made superstars. I mean, that's a series the way we got Seth Rogen, James Franco, her, you know.
It was like the Untouchables yeah.
Yeah, and I think Judd Apatow was heavily involved in that show. So, let's see what else. Oh, and then it's amazing how these people make so much money playing different characters in the MCU. Because she voiced Layla in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, if you've watched it.
No, I have not seen the final one yet.
So imagine the MCU giving you money from both sides. You're getting royalties from Hawkeye and Age of Ultron, and on the other hand, you're getting royalties from Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's how it should be, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Gotta keep. If people do you good, then keep supporting them, in my opinion.
100%. Oh, and she was also in New Girl. I remember she was in New Girl as the main character's older sister. Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. I see The Founder here. That's one of my favorite. I love that movie. So
yeah, same here. We need to review it, man. But I think I need to call in Sam for that one. If you remember Sam from Sam and Cam, like how we called you for the social network, he will be very
Oh,
interested in joining for that one. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so that's the main stars or the main actors. There's just someone else that I want to mention. His name is
John Cena.
Sebastian Maniscalco. Sebastian Maniscalco.
The
He's
comedian, yes. The South African.
yes, the comedian. Yeah, he was in
In everything that's ever been Italian. He's every Italian that's ever
yeah.
existed.
Look, you can't have an Italian movie without this guy.
Yeah. And this
Yeah,
is
he was in About My Father with Robert De Niro.
mhm.
He was in the TV series Bookie. I mean, you can hear Bookie. It sounds the Bookies, you know. He was in The Irishman. Um, yeah. He was in Tag, if you remember Tag.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Jeremy Renner
Yeah.
and a
So
bunch
yeah,
of rap stuff, yeah.
I don't know if there's anybody else you want to mention, but I think that should suffice.
Oh yeah, I think that's a shockingly quick one today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the other people are there, but yeah, I think these are the main people to look at, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, sir. Then I guess we can get to it.
Right, cool. Then let's start breaking down the movie.
All right.
Cool. The Green Book. Opening image, the movie starts in a nightclub, the Coco Cabana. Which kind of reminds you of The Mask, you know, boom chicka, you know, Coco Cabana. Yeah, Cuban beat.
You know sorry, the mask is low key a musical, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, anyway, Coco Cabana. We get cuts of the all-white crowd before we see Tony Lip in red, leading customers to their seats.
Right.
Listen to that. I almost want to say Frank Sinatra, even though nowadays I feel like you have to say Seth MacFarlane style of music, you know, because that's that kind of stuff that Seth MacFarlane loves to do. And
Oh yeah, the whole New York
yeah, that whole
Frank Sinatra type of
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
That whole like what's it? Michael Bublé, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
We cut to a Mr. Lascudo checking in his coat and hat before he's welcomed in and seated by one of the other porters. When Tommy appears at the hat check lady and takes the man's hat, leaving you wondering what's going to happen next.
Yes.
Like you can clearly tell this man's a made man, but this man's taking his hat after he just said it's so important.
Right.
A fight breaks out in the middle of the club, and the club calls out Tony Lip. Like he just straight up says Tony Lip, which is wild. And Tony comes in and removes the guy easily. And then when one of them tries to act tough, he gets beaten bloody. We immediately cut to Mr. Scudo losing his mind over his missing hat. But soon after, we cut to Tony and the porter who've seated him, relaxing after the club is closed. As it turns out, the club is closing for renovations. Right. And they have to make a plan for the time being.
Right.
The scene ends with Tony bringing the hat to Mr. Lascudo and acting like he found the guy that stole the hat in order to get the man's favor on a scam, which works doubly well because you remember when he comes in, the guy's like, "Yo, did you beat that guy up?" And you kind of see the blood on his shirt, so it makes you think maybe this guy thinks, "Oh, okay, there's a connection there."
Right.
This is obviously an establishing scene, setting up the environment that Tommy is used to, how he fits into it. And that strength alone, along with his dark side of his personality, that he's willing to hurt people, and he's a bit of a trickster. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And he's no good guy. This is not a paragon right here. There's no Superman here.
Yeah. No, he's not he's definitely not a Boy Scout. He's the Wolverine type.
I would even say
the Frank Castle type.
Yes. We get a card showing the Bronx and more feeding into his sly ways as he parks near a fire hydrant and covers it up so he won't get a ticket. We also see him drinking milk from the box to show how brutish he is. But he still ends up settling down with his wife and kids. He's still got a family. You know what I mean? Despite everything.
His beautiful wife, yes.
Yep. He wakes up in his underwear to an explosively loud house with people watching sport. He finds out that they're there to look after his wife, who's making lemonade for construction workers who are working.
Hey, yeah. Okay.
Construction workers are black, and everyone is pissed off about it.
Yeah.
So then suddenly we kind of see how he feels about it. We see them both drinking lemonade, and you see the cut. You see his perspective, and you get a close up of them like drinking it up close, and you can really see that that's what he's paying attention to.
Yeah, that he doesn't like the fact that they're drinking from his glasses. Yeah.
Clearly, these are special germs. So
yeah, these are unique black germs that they shouldn't be exposed to.
Exactly. If these kids drink from that glass, they'll start playing basketball.
They're gonna die instantly.
Yeah. So you see the glasses, and he throws the glasses away. He treats them like they're just covered in COVID, and he throws them away. Yeah. Anyway, this is very straightforward. It shows the family life, the Italian family life. That's the classic Italian stereotype. And you kind of get a taste of the time period with the TV, them watching the ball game, and it also shows you first it shows you the tribe, then it shows you the outsider.
Right.
And how the family treats the outsider, especially, and this is punctuated by him throwing the glasses away.
Right.
Cool. 9 minutes in, we show them having a large lunch. Like, it's the same day. It's lunchtime. It's not even a Sunday. Like, as far as I know, it's not even a Sunday. But they're having Sunday dinner, dog.
It does give me Sunday vibes. You don't think it's a Sunday?
I don't. Like, all I'm saying is, I just think it was a day in the week because he didn't think they were coming. Do you know what I mean? He didn't think they were coming. But this woman still cooked for everyone. So, but yeah, so that's why I just think it was just them having a large lunch. We show them having a large lunch with a massive family. They go over the situation of him needing a job while job renovations are being made at his actual job.
Right.
They had to do work on the house, which left them lacking emergency funds for such a situation. Hey, I live paycheck to paycheck. There's no emergency funds, so I get it. We move quickly to Dolores, who's packing away dishes when she notices the glass in the trash. Unlike him, she's not like him, so she actually picks the dishes back up.
Yeah.
It's a tiny scene between him but it draws a line between him and his wife.
100%.
Which will be effective later on.
Well, it shows that she's the one that called her, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no. He says he called them, but he didn't know. There's dialogue for this. Yeah. But he didn't know that they're black. Yeah. But anyway, I think what the reason is for later on at the end of the movie. Actually, no, for the phone call, it's relevant for the phone call, and it's relevant for the end of the movie.
Yes.
So I think that's why it draws a line, because instead of all of them having to go through an adventure, do you know what I mean? She's already there. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So Tony's brother-in-law finds him a way of getting.
That's a good point. Sorry, that's a very, very good point that you just made there. It's a plot point. When you think about it, like full circle, and you're right. She didn't need the journey.
Yes.
So she's already at that destination.
Exactly, and it makes it so much better because do we talk in spoilers here? But yeah, at the end of the movie, when she's like hugging him, there's no like, oh, should I need to? Do I need to?
Right. Yeah, because she's already been hugging black people. Yeah.
Exactly. And when the letters, when she knows that the letters came from him, were partly through him, she's not stupid.
She's not stupid. You know.
Fantastic. Yeah. So it's a nice little setup. And that's one thing I like about the movie. There's a lot of little setups.
No, man, shout out to you for actually picking that out. Yeah. Yeah, man.
So Tony's brother-in-law finds him a way of making quick cash, quick $50 by challenging a fat man for a food
eating contest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Beats him in the eating contest because Tony will do anything for cash. Yeah. And their rent is around the corner.
Right.
While talking to his wife, he gets a call and someone connected to Geo calls about a job opportunity. We jump right into it, and we see a grand hall, and we get Dr. Shirley's name. And he gets up to the interview room where he sees other older men with gray hair filling in clipboards, likely waiting to do their own interviews. So it kind of gives you a sense of, oh, okay, this guy is very important. Like, it's more than one person trying to get this job. It's not something you're going to waltz into.
Yeah.
He gets let in, and he steals the pen, because anything to get even the smallest leg up is that's how Tony works.
Right.
Then when he walks in, he sees the most extravagant room with just so many things in it. Mm-hmm. And then Dr. Shirley shows up in a grand, I'm assuming it's a dashiki, and introduces himself.
Dude.
Dog, I was like, this nigga is a 10. I'm gonna need you to, sir, I'm gonna need you to calm down. This is all of Africa calling. Calm down. But anyway,
before we continue, I just want to say the part about him with the eating contest. They don't finish that contest, so they leave us in suspense because we don't know if he won or not. Right?
Oh, definitely.
And then when he comes back all bloated,
yes,
and the wife just cooked dinner or something, and he's like, I cannot eat anymore. She's like, why? It's like, no, while I was in an eating contest and whatever.
And then she gets mad at him. Yeah. And it's like,
yeah, like, did you win? Also, you bet with our last 50K with our last $50 or something like that. And he's like, yeah, but I won.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's a nice little moment between them, and it gets things done and gets out quick.
Yes.
That's one thing I noticed about the beginning of this movie, is it says, I'm not going to explain how they got here, or you must just know.
You just connect the dots. Yeah, you must connect the dots. Yeah.
Exactly. You don't need to see him going up the stairs like some other super movies will sometimes do.
Yes.
Or like a good example, actually, yes. This movie reminded me a lot of The Holdovers.
Okay.
And there's a lot of holdover stuff where they spend time focusing on shots.
Yes.
There's almost none of that in this movie. If you know what I mean. Like, the establishing shot will be included in the shot a lot of the times.
What do you mean by establishing shot again?
As in for like them staring at the city. Another example, Past Lives did that as well, where they stare at the city for a minute. You know what I mean? Like that. Nah, we're in the next scene because we're late for a meeting. We've got to move on.
Right.
And it's because, again, there's a lot of setup they have to do.
Right.
And they're cutting things fast.
Right.
So even that argument, that discussion they had, husband and wife, it was short if you actually think about it. Like, I bet you there's actually a lot less lines than you realize. But yeah, Dr. Shirley shows up, introduces himself. He sits on his high-rise chair, and a profile shot shows you gotta get a sideways shot of him above in the chair, and like he has a crown, like it's an actual throne, and Tony's like sitting on a lower level. Mr. Donald then explains what the job is, because Tony doesn't understand. There is a grand difference between the way they sit and the way they speak.
Right.
Thingamajiggy is like this, thingamajiggy is like this.
Right.
Just shows. It turns out that Donald is a musician going on tour to the worst parts of the South, especially for a successful black man. When Donald asks about there being potential issues working as a black man, Tony lies. Because we all know, yes, there's issues. Donald is shying away from hiring him because Tony would have to leave the family behind because it's an 8-week thing.
Right.
First, Tony is cool with the money, but when he hears that what the job actually entails, he bails before Donald can even finish. Donald lays things out about knowing that Tony is a fixer beyond being a simple driver. Tony lays out his own requests too, because he's no butler and he's definitely going to shine no shoes. He doesn't say for a black man, but he does when he says, I'm not shining shoes, dog.
Yeah, that he doesn't, he leaves that part out. But obviously Mr. Shirley is not an idiot either. He knows.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. You can kind of tell there's like a little bit of a tension there when they
100%.
Definitely.
Do you think we would have sensed this tension had they not showed us the cups scene, the glasses scene?
No, we wouldn't have seen it. Because we need that scene.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're absolutely vital. This is a great moment of matching egos.
Right.
We get this nice setup we've gotten a setup for Tony for the last 15 minutes.
Yes.
Setting him up. He's sleazy. He cuts corners.
Right.
He is not. He's willing to lie.
Yes.
He's willing to. And he's brutally racist. And then in this, which leaves us with one scene to show us Donald and how he sees himself. And you can see how he sees himself on a crown, I mean, on a throne. You know what I mean?
Yes.
With a manservant, who's just calling people like this, dog. I was like, Jesus. So all this is done with a mix of styles that contrast each other heavily.
Right.
And they clash. And it's two really good actors working off each other. That really sells it, in my opinion. That really is the nail on top, the icing on the cake. 18 minutes in, we cut to a bar where Tony's having a smoke and a drink when the Asian bartender gets close to Tony and says Augie is looking for him, is asking about him.
Right.
Tony goes over to a room with a curtain and opens it to see three very closely packed men eating a grand meal. Like there's steak on a side plate. It was like a 4-course meal right there.
Right.
As it turns out, which is like, by the way, it's a classic Italian stereotype.
Okay.
It's kind of funny. It's like you can't have a mafia movie without Italians eating. You've said
this before.
Yeah. So you need to have some food on a plate.
Right.
Yep. As it turns out, the guy he beat, the guy was like, "Do you know who I am?" Turns out he's tied to some gangster crew, and they've been trying to get. They're upset about the whole situation, but Augie says, I'm assuming that guy is Augie, says things are settled and offers Tony some work, but Augie is deliberately vague about the work, considering that all that Tony has been willing to do, because Tony's been willing to do anything for money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he doesn't have a 9 to 5, basically.
Yeah. Oh, not just that, but he also doesn't have
qualifications.
No, I was gonna say he doesn't have issues with doing stuff
Or
that's
quals,
not okay.
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's willing to do anything to get a buck.
Exactly, but for some reason, this guy's vagueness, it crosses a line for him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And suddenly he's not willing to help this man. In fact, he's shook by the offer, which is surprising. And Tony says no, but Augie insists, but Tony still says no. I almost thought there was going to be a problem here. In fact, he says his money situation is great, which is a massive lie. Now, this is interesting because we've already gotten a refusal of the call to adventure, right, with Donald. Yes. You know, old, what's it, Man with a Thousand Faces, the classical storyline, refuse the call to adventure. We've had that now. Yes. And before you can even... Hero's journey step 1. That's it. Yeah. Refusing the call. Exactly. And before you can even finish the day, something more dangerous has presented itself, putting pressure on him. Which is probably a part of the reason why he leaves, because he knows these mafia guys are going to keep offering him help. Yes. Next scene, Tony walks to a pawn shop and sells his watch. He goes home to his wife and they talk, and even the wife gives up on the job opportunity about hearing that the guy is black. She knows her husband. Yeah. We jump right to the phone call of them in bed. Again, we're talking about a very utilitarian cutting style here. Yes. Here to here to here. Right. Is not messing around. It's kind of clever because what I think it does, it relies on props more than most movies do nowadays. Okay, can you give an example? The phone being a prop. The throne, number 1, being a prop. Throne, yes. And the bed. Because you know, exactly, we're in the bedroom. This is what the bed looks like. There's a phone, old school phone on the side. So yes, the bed and the phone. Right. The combination of the two. That's all you need to know. They're in bed. You know what I mean? Kind of like the TV with the table and the game. Yes. Right, with the baseball game. Oh, I didn't see it that way, but now that you mention it. Yeah, the location. It's TV, the family chilling like this, and see the construction workers and the wife in the same shot, in same, like, it's not same location, same shot. So you get all of it set up without you having to do any like establishing shots. Yeah. Think about it. You don't even get to see the outside of the house because you don't need to. Jesus. Specific reason for you to see the outside of the house. So why? Get this done. We're gonna see that kitchen later anyway. So get this done, get this done, get this done. Done. They're trying to, yeah, it's very slimmed down. Denis Villeneuve would never do this. Denis Villeneuve would never do this. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, what is that movie you watched? Not Hostages, Prisoners. There was like a 30-second shot of the outside window looking into the house at one point. There was even like a 10-second shot of a tree at one point. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That is not happening here.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. Cuckoo, it's Donald's on the phone and he wants to talk to Tony's wife. He's talking about the length of time of the trip, and the wife appears to be shutting things down in the phone call, despite us not hearing Donald's side.
Right.
She says Donald is willing to comply with the things that Tony had asked for, but Dolores is clearly upset about the situation. As it turns out, there's actually a very clever subversion of the nagging wife here, because it turns out she'd already said yes, because she knows that.
Right.
It's a genuinely heartwarming moment that caught me by surprise, because it would have been easy to lean on the wife who needs help around the house or just misses the husband.
Yes.
It swings the other way, showing that, and you can see by her good acting that it does upset her that he's going to have to go.
Yes.
In your mind, you think it's for a different reason. But in actual fact, it's her knowing that he has to go and knowing that it's going to be difficult for her.
Yeah, so that's how I interpreted it, yes. Yeah.
So it's a nice little flow around there. I thought that was very fantastic. 24 minutes in, we jump into him getting the Green Book, which is actually a book of Negro-friendly locations that he can go to. So that's what the Green Book is.
Yes.
And he gets his pay half up front, half now.
Yes. No, it has nothing to do with Gaddafi's book. It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, 100%. We get another utilitarian cut of him saying goodbye to his kids. Quick 1-2. He says goodbye to his, I'm assuming his brother-in-law.
Yeah, the comedian, right?
Yes. And the wife and the kids. We get a thingamajiggy. There's a tender moment as they go over what it means to be black in the old South. Like, you know what I mean? They're like, oof, this Green Book is kind of messed up. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you get a little bit of that.
Yeah. Also, the scene that, I don't know if you're getting there, if I'm jumping the gun, but where the Indian guy, the Indian valet.
It's still coming, yes.
Oh, he's still coming? Okay, cool.
Yes. Ahmed, I think that's his name. Or Ahmed.
Yeah. That's the Indian guy that we spoke about in the previous review that we did. I don't know if we were doing the Mummy or if we were doing Frankenstein. Was it the Mummy?
Mummy was last week, yes.
Remember we're talking that this Indian guy is almost everywhere. I think it's the same guy that played Dalism in... Is it the same guy? No.
Now you got me curious now.
But we did mention that it's this, like this, and you were like, there's like one Indian at a time, and then we also mentioned Ben Kingsley.
Yeah,
so I don't know if it was Frankenstein.
This guy's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, that guy is
a lot of stuff.
He's everywhere, dog. I think he even did some South African productions at a point. I think he was in American Ninja 5, if I'm not mistaken.
American Ninja 5, that's...
Remember American Ninja 5 had Michelle Botes, the Shirelle de Villiers from East Dingo. Yeah, man. I think it was American Ninja 5, if not 3. One of the two.
Amit Al-Giba Teba.
Do you have his film? Do you have his filmography?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at the biggest ones. He's got a lot of movies. This man's in everything, dog.
That guy's everywhere.
The Lost Legacy, the video game, that's cool. School of Rock. Tiger Hunter, The Brink, The Escort, Glee, of course. Community. I remember the first episode of Community. First 3 episodes of Community. Yes, I remember that. Indian Spider-Man. I'm curious about that. Transformer, Dark Side of the Moon.
Did you watch Across the Spider-Verse? No, Into the Spider-Verse.
Of course.
There's an Indian Spider-Man in there. But I guess he was playing a different version of it, I guess.
Maybe, yeah. Weeds, Chuck, 2.5 Men, Nick Tuck. Yeah, this man has been a lot of
Bro,
stuff.
that man is everywhere. Like, if you don't know that guy, then there's something wrong with you. Like,
Yeah,
that
there's
man
so
is
much deep
everywhere.
stuff.
Pardon?
Malcolm and Eddie, West Wing. Yeah, the Hughleys.
Dude, imagine.
Yeah, this was some good stuff, dog.
Yeah.
Nah, dude, that's a good life. But yeah, we're basically getting there to now. Yes.
I doubt he's ever had issues paying rent, that man.
Hey, dog, you never know where he lives first.
Yeah, fair enough.
We jumped in meeting the others at the artistry group, and you get to see again the cultural difference between Tony and the others, George and Oleg. But Tony's is the kind of guy who pushes through with courtesy anyway before Donald shows up. Donald shows up and sets his bags and sits while his manservant Amit even puts a blanket on his lap for him, which is blowing Tony's mind. Like, Tony just can't believe what he's seeing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you're gonna say your part. Is this the part you're gonna talk about?
Oh, I was just saying that basically Tony is just expecting the Indian guy to just put in the bags in the boot.
Ah, yes. There's a little standoff between the two of them because Tony's not doing any of this shit.
Yeah, because remember, he did say that he's not gonna be. No, that's not his job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Indian is like, nah, bro, this guy hired you to be the driver. So part of being a driver is you putting the bags in the boot.
Because Don would rather get Tony would rather get Don back out the car to move his own bags than end up doing that.
Exactly.
So,
but you see, the Indian guy knows that eventually they're wasting Mr. Shirley's time.
Exactly.
So one of them just has to swallow their pride and actually just do it. So he backs down and does it.
100%.
Man.
And 28 minutes in, we're on the road. We get two matching cars hitting the road, and the journey takes its next step. We are now in the second act.
Oh, I think maybe we need to explain why there's matching cars. So the other car has two other musicians.
Yeah, George and Oleg. Yeah.
George and?
Oleg.
Yes, which are usually with Mr. Shirley when they are performing.
Yes, they're the trio.
Yeah, they're a trio, but they're in different cars because I guess it's different races.
Well, no, I would assume because they don't
Mr. Shirley is getting paid more?
Yes, they don't want to squeeze 4 in the car or 3 in the car.
Why?
I feel like that would be a comfort thing. It's not enough space.
So is that rich?
I would assume so, yes. He'd want to be in his own car by himself, yes.
Wow. Okay.
That's what I would
assume. Like you said, he's the king. He is, when he sees himself as being above everybody.
Because he's a legend. He is a legend of his quality. Because I remember later on, Oleg defends Don. So I don't think it's a racial segregation thing at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're on the road.
It's just you being rich enough to actually do the things that you really want to do, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Having enough clout to do it. So Donald starts giving his itinerary and the daily needs, which again are just blowing Tony's mind while he enjoys his sandwich that his wife made. The differences are being painted very clearly still. There's already a tension between them as Donald tries to correct Tony a few times on a few of his actions. And Tony, so annoyed, eats the sandwich that was supposed to be for Don. We cut to another push forward to the car planning, to the other car with the other musicians planning to get ahead of them, and then they can make plans and reservations in advance, leaving Donald and Tony behind. So basically the other musicians will be handling the itinerary that Tony doesn't want to do.
Yes.
Tony completely mishears the language the musicians are speaking and starts talking about Germans and Cubans as a group and his opinions about them as a group. Which bothers Don, and Donald has to ask him to keep quiet, but that's not working. Tony just keeps talking.
Yeah.
Like that was
to him, I think, well, basically they're off to a bad start.
Yeah.
But I think Tony cannot draw the line between professionalism and um, what he was doing with his family before Don came to fetch him.
Yeah.
He doesn't see the difference. To him, a person is a person is a person. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's thinking, we're gonna be on this long road trip. There's no way I'm gonna shut up the whole time.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
And the name Tony Lip, it's because he talks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
We cut to a dinner with them eating when Donald asks about the food. Donald is being standoffish, and Tony has got too powerful a personality to be upset, and just kind of pushes through, despite the fact that Donald is trying to be a dick. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
We get a clear painting of how difficult this trip is going to be for Donald, with Tony's unrefined ways, and that maybe soft talking will not work with Tony.
Right.
So we're getting off on experiencing a situation, ending with them having difficulty finishing their day one of the trip.
Right.
They're struggling on day one. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a great little game. It's done fairly quick actually, because it's like music. You see the driving, they talk. Music, you see the driving, they talk. Music, you see the driving, they talk, and then it's done. Anyway, new scene. We're finally free from driving as you watch the band enjoying themselves by the pool. The band is, of course, talking to girls, and it looks good for them. Meanwhile, Donald is sitting on the balcony just watching as he enjoys his alcohol.
Right.
This is all from Tony's POV.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know how I felt. The first time I saw it, I thought he was just being sidelined because he's black. So you can't be seeing, jolling with white people. But now that we're talking about how he's preferring certain things in a specific way, I'm wondering whether it was deliberate for him not to be part of that.
I think in a way you're half right. I think he is separated, but it's not because he's black. It's because he's gay.
Yeah, but at this time we didn't know that, did we?
Yes, at this time you think it's because of the class
Racial, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and then what's nice is it gets punctuated by the letter that sends. That Tony sends. So you get an idea that that this man is sad. Because remember Tony says you can see that this man is sad. You know? So I feel like that he would rather be with them, but he knows he can't be. So you think it's because it's racial, but no, it's because they're talking to girls.
Right.
So it's a little
subtle.
Yeah. A little setup. But you don't know that it's a setup yet.
Right.
The next morning, Tony is given more money for expenses. Then Donald chooses to give advice about Tony improving the way he speaks, which immediately rubs Tony the wrong way.
How do I speak? What do you mean? I don't understand. What are you talking about? What do you mean? I don't understand. What do you mean? How do I talk? How do I talk? What do you mean? I don't get it.
They can all take a shit. That's what he says, right? It's just hilarious.
Right.
Anyway, he rejects all of Donald's suggestions. We cut to the party where Tony's relaxing with the all black. The one white guy is relaxing with all the all black chauffeurs outside, while Donald is the only black person in that all white room. Right. And his history gets displayed. They start describing his history as his introduction, and we get a first taste of his music. Right. We get a tracking cut into Tony, who's stunned at what he's seeing. And you can tell that he's genuinely impressed.
Yes.
It's fantastic. The song doesn't last because we're late for a meeting, and it cuts as we reach the peak of the song. Cut to Tony.
Late for a meeting, yeah.
As we cut to Tony, and as he's winning on cards, and the people around him are loud and cheerful, as he basically sucks all that money up. Donald is calling for him.
So he clearly forgot that he's racist at this point?
I think it's a thing of that's a good question. I think it's a question of work ethic over race, if you understand what I'm saying. Where it's a thing of I'll work with you, but I won't let you touch my daughter.
Ah, right. So it's more of tolerance, basically.
Yes. Soft tolerance, yes, because now that he's a chauffeur, he's one of the chauffeurs.
Right.
So it hasn't been won over for him.
And also going back to what we said earlier, he would do anything for money. So,
Exactly.
right.
100%. And also, I think there's also an element of he thinks of himself sometimes as one of the good white people. You know, you get one of the good white people.
Right.
He thinks he's one of the good white people.
Right. I'm not like them. I'm not like them.
He's not a full liberal. Again, if his daughter showed up with Jamal, he killed Jamal.
Right.
So it's one of those things. But yeah, we cut to Donald is Donald is trying to talk propriety into him. Propriety into him. You know, like kind of make him more reasonable. The scene ends with Don pointing out that he's choosing to live without propriety, whereas the people around him aren't. We were at the family home, and Dolores is reading one of his letters out loud to the kids. This is a classical painting of the personalities really pushing up against each other. Right. There's also a deeper meaning to it all, as he has more options. Tony has more options, and could actually be that could actually be tied to him being white instead of him just being crude. Right. This is an opportunity for the classic meeting halfway style of storytelling, the Dangerous Minds style of storytelling. Dangerous Minds, the Coolio movie.
Yes. But what do you mean by that? I'm trying to.
It's basically where two sides meet each other. So normally in such a movie, this would ironically be the white side, and then we get the black side, and then we see both worlds.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those white teacher goes to a black area. That's normally what we're talking about.
Do you know what I mean? Like freedom writers, yeah.
Exactly. Or like freedom writers is a perfect example of this show. Because where they're like, what's the Holocaust? And she's like, what's basketball? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Right. What else? What's else another example? I want to say Guess Who, but nah, that's not the perfect example. But you get the idea. I want to say also maybe Last Samurai might be a good example of that.
I haven't watched it, but I do get what you mean. Where you get introduced to it.
Okay. But you get the idea.
Yeah.
I want to say Mulan too. But no, not Mulan. No, Mulan's not the perfect example, but something similar. But anyway, you get the idea. You show me your side, I show you my side. My side has good things to it. Your side has good things to it.
Right.
Cool. We're in a car when Donald notices the music Tony is playing and asks for a name. It turns out it's Little Richard. Then we go over the name Tony Lip, and it turns out now we know that Tony Lip is just really good at bullshitting people, and that's why they call him Tony Lip.
Right.
And then they kind of have an argument over the difference between bullshitting and lying. They go over some of the biggest names in black music of the time: Aretha Franklin.
Tony is more like the normal bunch, like us, because everybody he mentioned I knew. Aretha Franklin, come on, Stevie Wonder, you know what I mean? Like James Brown, you know, that type.
They go over, but Tony just, but John just doesn't know them.
Yeah.
And Tony says, how could you not know them? And John says nothing, but it's clear that it bothers him.
It was offended by that,
Yeah. This is a clear setup for a larger confrontation.
Before we get there, going back to that party, is this where he was served chicken?
No.
Oh, okay.
That hasn't happened yet.
All right.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
So 42 minutes in, we take a pit stop where they take a break, and Tony sees a rock stand with fancy rocks. When he sees one of the fancy rocks on the ground, he pockets it. Oleg in the background sees this happening, and when Tony steps back into the car, Donald is furious.
Yeah.
Oleg snitched, and pissed off, Tony tries to talk his way out of it, but Donald's having none of it.
Yeah.
Yes, Tony still thinks Oleg the Russian is a sneaky German is hilarious. Like this man, like it's clear. It's been explained to him. and he still thinks this nigga's German. I thought that was funny.
Right.
After he's failed talking his way free, he complains about Oleg, but still Donald is having none of it and demands he puts it back. And furious, he puts it back.
Right.
Donald just doesn't understand the thrill of fast talking and getting one over on someone.
Mm-hmm.
Oleg and George are practicing when Tony passes them and sees a terrible looking piano in terrible condition. There is literal trash inside of it. He speaks up to the maintenance worker there about it, but the worker gains an attitude because he believes Don won't even notice, despite needing to be blind not to notice. It's insane for someone not to know the condition of the piano.
Right.
Tony demands a new piano, but the worker says there are no Steinways.
But yeah, also it was not just about the condition of the piano. It's just not the piano that Shirley uses to play with.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also it's a pile of garbage. But yes, it's the wrong pile of garbage. Like both ways.
Right.
Offended, the worker calls him a greaseball, which immediately, no hesitation, leads to a slap.
Yep.
We then quickly cut to fingers playing on a Steinway piano, showing that it sorted out multiple problems.
Yep.
This is the fun and games section here. It's showing each person in their element.
Right.
Donald's talent achieving results, and Tony's violence showing its mark and
how effective it is, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as we lead to the halfway point, that's when we know that likely one of these things is going to hit a wall. Do you know what I mean? Go wrong.
Right.
48 minutes in, we're still listening to his letter being read as a voiceover as they enjoy breakfast, and we get more of the adventure and we see more of the land. We get more wide shots. Right. Tony is digging into Donald, and we find out that Donald had a brother and an ex-wife. Tony, being an idiot, gets distracted by KFC. And he's like, KFC in Kentucky Fried Chicken in Kentucky, I gotta try this.
Right.
And as he does, we get the classic black stereotype interpretation. Which
Okay. I also like the fact that it's old branding. It's the old KFC
branding. Oh yeah, the whole white thing, dog. It's so weird. It looks hand drawn.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Like this is the first KFC to ever exist, dog. It's crazy, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we get the classic black stereotype interpretation as Tony and Don kind of talk to each other about chicken, which me and my one friend call the speech. This is the second time now that we've gotten a setup for the speech. This opens things up as the rule of three storytelling. Now Donald tried to shut this down, but it's not working because Tony just doesn't understand the differences. And all but forces Tony to take fried chicken. P.S. Tony eating chicken like an apple is amazing. He's taking, like, no one eats chicken like this, dog, where it's like
yeah,
just an apple, dog. Yeah.
But, it also explains why he's so big.
Oh yeah, definitely. And because he's eating multiple pieces. It's not like one piece.
Yeah, he's eating a bucket, bro.
He's eating a bucket by himself.
Yeah.
Donald ends up eating the chicken, like he's being forced into it, which pulls us into the second part of that dual world dynamic we were talking about earlier.
Right.
Where, like, you get a sample of his world and then he gets a sample of your world. You know what I mean?
What was he eating again?
Eating chicken, remember?
Pardon?
No, they ate chicken.
Oh yeah, because it's like, come on, just take a piece, just take a piece, come on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think before you could say the whole steak and eggs thing where Tony's like, I can't believe I'm having steak and eggs for breakfast. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that whole twin dynamic. And also, don't forget the part where he spits out the food. So that's also a part of like that twin dynamic. But that's a little bit later. But the scene continues and Donald actually enjoys the chicken despite the look. And they actually have a nice moment between each other.
Wait, what do you mean a twin dynamic?
Well, you know what I talked about? You looking into the other side, the other side looking into your side.
Oh, yes.
Earlier, that whole dangerous minds thing.
Right.
So right now we're kind of getting the Tony dynamic where he goes into the whole chicken thing. You know, that whole like caveman dynamic, basically.
Right.
And then yeah. Yeah, but the scene continues and Donald actually enjoys the chicken despite the look, and they actually have a moment which is naturally brilliant, but is ruined by Tony throwing an entire soda cup out the window too. The scene ends with Tony having to reverse to collect it. You
To
just hear
collect it, yeah, because you could tell that he was not happy about. He's okay with Tony throwing away the bones, but he's not happy
yes,
about.
because it's biodegradable, but not a. No, the animals who eat it. No. So yeah, so this is the first sample of give and take between them now.
Right.
We are most definitely closing up the fun and games section as things have been moving very smoothly.
Mhm.
As of right now, in terms of story, there's generally a need to change for a story arc to be effective. Like someone has to change, and
Right.
as of right now, there's not really been a need, which is generally why they call sections like this the fun and games section.
Mhm.
Everything has used their natural proclivities, their natural charm, their natural aggression, their natural propriety, and their natural swagger
Right.
and all of it's been effective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's all positive results, which means things have to go wrong eventually. We're now in Louisville, Kentucky, and the Negro-friendly homes have taken a hell of a dark turn. The Negro-friendly home apartment is a total shit heap. There's just marks running down. And that's the best location Donald can be allowed.
Yes.
And now Donald is alone with his own people because the other guys have to go. They leave him. He's alone with his own people sitting outside his room with no second floor or balcony as people around him play horseshoe. He gets noticed by the people there and they mock him for being fancy. And awkward, and the word isn't awkward, but uncomfortable with the situation he takes. Right. We cut to Tony sitting alone with a giant pizza.
Oh, just to give people context, if they've never watched this movie, Tony was not sleeping in the same hotel with Shirley. Pardon?
He's sleeping in a nice hotel, yes.
Yes.
The whites only hotel, yes.
Yeah. Imagine you're sleeping in a nicer hotel than your boss.
Yes.
Because of your color.
Yeah.
Or your race. Yeah.
People get upset about that later on, and it shocks some people later on, but it's very interesting, the whole dynamic. Because technically nothing's gone wrong yet, but this is terrible. I agree. It's crazy. Right. He gets noticed by the people there, enjoying the pizza, and he pulls out the gemstone that he stole. So you'd realize that, no, this man still has it. He goes over the green book, looking it over when George comes banging on the door. George being one of the musicians.
Right.
This was the calm before the storm we were expecting, as everything that Donald goes from unique and charming to just other. He's become an outsider now. And before he was unique, now he's just an outsider.
Right.
Him running and then running to a bruised up Donald being pushed around and surrounded as he's punched and beaten for looking fancy. It's the exact same thing the black side was saying, only on their side was ostracization. It was words. And on this side, it's straight violence. It's physical, yeah. Yeah.
It's messed up, man. Yeah. Because it also goes to show you that in as much as you're being discriminated against in certain areas, at the same time, you're also being discriminated against by your own people. Just messed up.
Exactly. It just goes to show, man. But yeah, Tony steps in to break it up. They obviously don't care about Tony as they whip out a knife. Tony Lip pretends to have a gun and they try calling his bluff, but the bartender will be having none of that in his place. So he whips out a shotgun, Desperado style, and says to let Donald go.
Oh, this is the part by the bar. Okay, okay. Yes.
Donald is completely drunk, but has a moment where he points out that Tony's neighborhood would have been just as bad. They would, and it's true. One only has to remember Tony and the glasses to know that if Donald had been doing this in Tony's neighborhood, it would maybe been Tony himself punching him or holding on or watching.
Right.
We end up watching his Louisville performance, where despite everything, despite where he is, he still gets a standing ovation.
That's true.
It's a lovely moment that brings us right back to the reality that nowhere is completely safe, and that Tony would have been just as bad as those guys in the bar.
Yes.
1 hour in, we're now near the halfway mark. We open on the road where he and Tony are doing exercises to help Tony's diction. That thing that he'd said no to before. When something in the engine pops and the car breaks down. Donald decides to get out the car where a large group of black people are doing work while in the field.
Right.
Donald is himself being looked after by Tony, a white man.
That scene kind of reminded me of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
I knew it, yeah.
You felt the same way, no? Yeah, there was something about that area that kind of like gave those vibes, yeah.
No, definitely. But just, I think what amazed me was maybe the shock. You can kind of see the surprise in people's faces as they kind of realize the situation there.
Yes.
To me, that kind of reminded me of like, I want to say the ending of 12 Years a Slave, but like, where like these people are like live in such a one-sided world where like what you're seeing is almost unthinkable.
Right.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, so we get to a plantation performance. Yeah, we're on a plantation and we kind of see him doing his stuff, and we get Donald's group introduction. There's a little fantastic callback because before they'd be like, Tony, what if you call me Tony Valley instead of Tony Valau? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. And then it turns out the announcer fails to call Tony's name out as well. But then Donald gives him a look, but Tony laughs. He loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know the halfway point. We get another short moment of Tony struggling with the food as he tries to eat it and spits it out like it's terrible.
Yeah.
So it is, yeah.
It's too posh for him, I guess.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone managed to cook cheese wrong, so yeah.
It's just not just two hors d'oeuvres.
I guess so. We get another amazing moment of the menu being fried chicken, and Tony just finds this hilarious. Like, you'd have thought Tony phoned him in advance and be like, no, he really loves fried chicken. Like, I wish that had happened.
Yeah.
Then we get a performance that is, of course, cheered on, like this is a white genius being done it. And everything is perfect. Pointing at the midpoint, at a midpoint high, like, okay, you think, okay, things are going to end up at a high point and then go down. When Don tries to go to the toilet, the host points him to an outhouse.
Dude.
Dog. And then Don draws the line.
The guy that pointed him out. I know that guy, that actor. I just forgot where I know him from. But his face is...
Oh, no, that's an actual actor, definitely.
Yeah, he is. And he's a cool guy for the most part. It's just he just played a racist guy here.
Brutal racist.
Yeah, but he's usually a good guy.
Oh yeah.
Just forgot his name.
I'll tell you now if I can find it. I'm gonna fail. I can feel it. You can never tell with these stuff.
Yeah, bro.
Louisiana host, is it you?
Louisiana host.
No, it's not him.
But it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, it's very good. Damn it, I'm mad at myself.
No, it's fine.
It's not fine, it's rough.
I promise you'll find it after recording. But
yeah,
now that we're recording.
Yeah.
You know how life is, bro.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, despite the horror of me not finding it.
Yes.
I'm going to turn my head and look normally again. to
I've gone through that a billion times, so I know exactly what's going through your mind right now. You think it's gonna happen because you're saying it out loud?
yeah.
It's not one of those moments, buddy.
No, that's not him. It's too buff. Damn it. Either that, I have to open the whole thing again and quickly do that thing like we did in Frankenstein.
Mm.
Nah, it'll take too long. Okay, fine. We missed it.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll work harder next time to like. Thing is, I need to know which names you're gonna keep and which ones you're not gonna put in the thing. Normally, I normally make a note. Like with the Harry Potter one, I made a note of every single actor I mentioned. But I figured, you know what? We mentioned them anyway. This time we didn't. Oh well.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it happens. Like I told Robsy the other time that when she said she must be prepared next time, we just don't know who we might focus on while we're doing this. So
try to be extra prepared.
exactly.
We need to bring her back because we need to talk more Harry Potter. We need to do more Harry Potter. I want to do the whole series.
And Aladdin, by the way.
Ah, yes.
But anyway.
Cartoon version.
Yes.
Yeah, anyway, Don draws the line. He's been fairly accepting of things. But this is where he's like, no. And immediately the positive atmosphere that's been building changes. And then they end up driving back home.
Yeah.
They end up rushing back. It gives me a very Hidden Gems vibe.
Hidden Gems?
She has to Hidden Gems, the movie with the space race.
Oh, Hidden Gems.
Yes.
I think I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it.
Oh man, you're cheating yourself. It's fantastic. But basically, one of the main characters, they're in the main space thing, but they're not allowed to use the white toilets. So basically, she has to run 15 minutes to the toilet.
Oh, Hidden Figures.
Oh, sorry, Hidden Figures.
I haven't watched it still, but yes, I have seen a scene where she was talking to Kevin Costner, I think.
Yeah, Kevin Costner.
Yeah, about the toilets thing. Yeah.
Fantastic moment there. But yeah, they end up doing that. Tony is very upset about the whole thing. Don is, of course, very upset about it as well. But Tony doesn't understand, and Tony gets defensive, but Don is like, whatever, man. Don is like, doesn't give a shit, and he's angry. We cut to Don shaking ironically, we immediately cut to Don shaking everyone's hands as if they're all friends, while Tony remains upset. Oleg opens up about Don and how he asked for this whole event to happen when it cost him less, when it would have earned him less money,
right?
And he would have gotten and he's getting a lot less respect. He could have gotten a lot more respect up north, but he went to the south on purpose. Surprised, Tony asks why, but Oleg just leaves the question open because these niggas aren't friends. It's been smooth sailing for so long, and the midpoint low hits us by reminding us exactly where they are in the world. And even with their best efforts, the world is still an ugly place.
Yes.
Even though we don't understand why. It's too early for that. Yeah, cool. 1 hour, 7 minutes in, they're sitting at a bench enjoying their next takeout while Tony works on his letters. Donald is appalled by what he sees, and he spell checks him. The D-E-A-R, man. D-E-E-R is an animal. Yeah, spell and helps him with his letters. And we see Dolores reading them, and tears actually start falling down her face from the letters, dog.
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome.
Because initially he was talking about, look, we're by Kentucky, and it's a bit hot out here. You know what I mean?
Driving my shirt.
Yeah, and my shirt. It's a good day. I had the donut for dinner or whatever. But now he's talking about like how I miss you. I miss hearing the sound of your voice. I hope the kids are fine.
Using words he doesn't understand.
Exactly. 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 But it shows effort.
Yes.
Which is what I guess you would say it's what drives it to tears.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey dog, good prose will always rock a person's world. Tony is talking sport, which Don doesn't care about. When Don stops by a mannequin in a suit. Tony, being an idiot, despite originally being the one who was the one to remind Don over and over again about being in the South, simply declares that they should go inside and get the suit. They speak to the suit guy who looks happy to help, But when he finds out who the suit is for, his entire face changes and he says no. Don immediately bounces. And we get a absolutely furious performance next time we see Don.
Right.
Don has been gracious this whole time,
Yes.
but the mask is breaking. We're getting some of that efficient storytelling that was there before, because all of this happens really quick. Like 5 minutes maybe.
Right.
Yeah?
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, cool. Tony is washing his outfit when he gets a phone call by the police. He's led into the men's showers where he sees 2 men handcuffed to the taps.
Yes.
Someone caught them doing stuff to each other and now they're under arrest. Ironically, creating a bit of hypocrisy in terms of the impropriety of the situation.
Because it seems like they were just angry at Shirley and not both of the guys.
Well, yeah, because the one guy is there for Shirley, but yes, no, I agree. But the cops aren't playing. Remember, one of the cops is actually not white, if I remember correctly. But anyway, they're calling him auntie and they're refusing to let him get dressed.
Right.
And then using the powers of Tony Lip, he bribes them out. And upon their release, Don is furious and indignant. But Tony doesn't even fight back and kind of leaves Don hanging.
Which I was on Tony's side at that point. It's like, what did you want me to do?
Yeah. I'm not the one in a bathhouse doing clearly illegal things. In the South at that time, that's clearly illegal.
Exactly.
At some point, you got, like, I know you know who you are. Every day there's proof that, everyone is like letting you know who you are.
Yes.
And then you do this.
Right.
And with no one to even have your back. And that's a nice part. It's like, don't go wherever. It's so funny because Tony says, you're not supposed to go anywhere without telling me.
Yes.
And then he's like, I would have thought you'd have wanted this to be the exception. And Tony doesn't even say anything. He just shakes his head and walks away.
Yeah.
Which leaves you wondering what that means. And at first I was like, okay, maybe Tony's low-key agreeing that he wouldn't have wanted to know about the situation.
Yes.
But at the same time, maybe, no. I think this scene, later on you find out that no, that's wrong. But again, subversing expectations. It takes expectations and leads them a certain way.
Right.
And breaks them.
Right.
So I like that. That was very clever. Anyway, they're driving again, this time stopping at Memphis, Tennessee. Tony isn't really saying anything and is trying to help, but Don isn't accepting the help. Upon walking, they bump into old Italian friends who can't believe he's working for a black man.
Right.
The number of times you hear the Italian word for eggplant is exhausting. Upon walking, which is a callback to the earlier dark bar scene with Augie. The Italians all but demand he give up his job in order to work for them instead of working for a black man.
Yeah.
We cut to Don putting on makeup and the emotions of the whole thing are getting to him as tears form on his eyes as he puts on his own color of makeup. Right. In that time, his color set probably wouldn't have been a thing at all. I mean, the whole, hey guys, what about black people makeup is really something that only showed up in like the 80s and 90s.
Yes, that's true. That is very true.
Yeah. The mobsters are eager to speak to Tony and even call his room to get him. Tony's on his way out when Don is there waiting. We find out that Don also speaks Italian in that moment, and he heard everything those wise guys said.
Right.
Don has a bit of a moment of vulnerability as he offers Tony a bigger job, but Tony shrugs him off because he has no plans of leaving in the first place. And Don tries to apologize for the night before, but again, Tony brushes it off. Which even I thought was going to be a sticking point, was going to be a problem, like, Diddy problems. But no. Don is like, nah, dog, I work at nightclub. You see things. Nightclub at Diddy's house. But anyway, it's it's Don and Tony talking and sharing a bottle. And remember, Don is normally alone when this happens, when the bottle is being drunk. Remember the rule of 3? First time with that one pool, bottle by himself. Second time by the black area, bottle by himself. This is the rule of 3. Third time, he shares the bottle with someone else.
Mm.
That's a little filmmaking there.
I didn't even see that, but now that you mention it, it's yeah, I can see it completely.
They generally go over Don's life this time, like they genuinely, sincerely. Like before, it was just kind of like talk.
Yeah.
This time, they're actually having a moment. It's a more relaxed callback to the earlier moment when they talked about his brother and his wife.
Right.
They actually have a moment, and Tony compliments Don's skill, and Don kind of tries to like reveal that he'd rather do classical music. But Tony is like, no, man, what you're doing now is good enough. He's trying to be supportive, but at the same time, it kind of comes off a little bit more negative than Tony realizes.
Yeah, I think he's just not understanding why.
Understanding that music is music, dog. No, man, you can't do white people music.
Says who?
And what part that's crazy is I've gotten like similar advice before in my life, but it was the other way around actually. Where like basically what happened was I was writing these books, Heist, like this book. This has black.
It looks good. The printing looks good.
Thanks, man. But like if you look at the names here, you see names like Ilifa, Nyandeni, and places like that. You know what I mean? It's black names.
Yeah.
And some people are like, don't do that. Do you know what I mean?
Don't do what?
Don't put black names. Put white names.
Oh, yeah.
Legolas, Aragorn, Steve from accounting. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And then it'll sell more. That's what people tell you. So, instead of you doing your own thing, people are like, no. If you want to be a part of the bigger picture, you got to comply in this way.
Yes.
And I think Tony doesn't understand that that's what he's doing. He's being that guy who's like, I'm trying to help. Please comply like this.
Right.
When Don doesn't really want to hear that. Do you know what I mean? But yeah.
Damn. Yeah, you also showed me something else I didn't realize until now.
Yeah. We are listening to the positive letters. We cut to the family and others in New York. We see the positive effect the letters are having as she's now showing off some of the new ones.
Right.
We then move on to them still going on the adventure. We see more stops, more life, more locations, more wide shots. Time pushes on. We see them putting on Christmas lights to kind of remind us of the ticking clock.
Yeah.
Things are getting tight.
Right.
And we know Christmas is getting closer. The montage ends with an impossibly dense rain before they are pulled over by police. This is already a bad look as the cops pull them off for no apparent reason. The cops ask them questions, which then leads to some pretty brutal insults. Tony, not being one for insults, decides to punch the cop in the face. They immediately end up in jail. Yes. And for some reason, Don is in there too. He demands a phone call, and the police let him have it, leaving him open. Don is furious and demands that Tony have some dignity, that he just maintain himself. There's a phone call in the police station which blows the policemen's minds. As it turns out, it's the governor, which is crazy.
Governor Kennedy, right?
No. It's the governor of Kentucky, and the AG is Kennedy, and the president is Kennedy. So basically, it's a situation where Kennedy has said, yo, unless you want Martin Luther King showing up with 1,000 people outside your police station, let this motherfucker out.
Yeah, or Malcolm X.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So
the governor's freaking out, and then he takes it. You can see what's the expression? Shit flows downwards. So it goes from the president, Attorney General, to the governor, to that sheriff, to that guy that got punched in the face.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they get out. They're driving again. Tony is thrilled about the situation, but Don is pissed. Yeah. Don is humiliated about it, and he had to pull impossible connections to get them out. Yeah. And the pair argue about exactly what made Tony angry. Was it the indignity of that was being put on Don? But really, Don says, no, it was about you being called an N-word. And it had nothing to do with Don's pride. Right. And that he's just bullshitting himself. And then Tony defends himself, and then we get what I call the speech. What every Model C black man hears at least once in their lives, from black people, from white people. Tony declares that he's more black than Don. Don calls bullshit, but Tony keeps going. Don, not having any of it, gets out the car and asks, if he's not any of these things, then what is he? If he's not white enough, if he's not black enough, if he's not man enough, then what is he?
Right.
Yeah,
which is a very important question.
Yeah. It's a very fantastic scene. This is likely the scene that won them the Oscars and Oscar nominations. It's an incredibly emotional climax that comes together perfectly and paints a picture of exactly who each of them are and what they see in each other.
Right.
This is, by the way, the dark heart of the soul of the movie. The movie's last big reveal and the moment of failure or breaking. Just like The Mummy, it hits the 90-minute mark.
Right.
Marking the quarter point of the movie, the final quarter. 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes. And you'll notice with these types of movie, despite being incredibly different, pacing is not an issue for either one.
Yes.
None of these movies felt slow, The Mummy or this one, despite them being over 2 hours long. Why?
Right.
Because they left the pacing perfect. We discussed it last week as well, where it's the, what's the thing? Save the Cat format. It's the best format for this kind of storyline. Right. Now, you also notice that it also needs to be, that everything that needs to be revealed has been revealed. We got everything we need to know about Tony. We got everything we kind of need to know about Don. Leaving us open for the finale as both the last performance and the Christmas promise are drawing near.
Right.
Now there's only room for external obstacles and internal revelations. Showing that this is the final act.
Right.
We are now in Act 3 territory. Awkward, vulnerable, and tired, Don decides he needs to sleep. But Don has too much pride to be snuck into a white home.
Yes.
So they open up the old green book and they share a room. Tony tries a letter, but upon Don looking it over, we see that Tony has finally got an understanding of what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice little climax for that.
Yes.
Letter 1, letter 2, and then letter 3 is Don looking it over and going, okay, this is good.
Yeah, he gets it now. There's no need for me to add anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tony mentioned sending a letter to his brother, talking about making the first move. About Don's brother and Don making the first move. Sometimes that's the most important thing, is you making the first move. Which I think comes into play in the final moment, but we'll get into that.
Okay.
They get to the location and they get a tiny changing room inside the kitchen, because of course they do. Tony's eating when the others, Oleg and George, come in and drink with him.
Yes.
It's the final performance, and for once, Oleg is showing some chill. Tony complains about the dressing room when Oleg tells Tony about the story of Nat King Cole. The horror of the story leads Oleg to explain why Donald does all of this. Right. And that it's about courage. Which is nice, because I feel like because you need the person who takes the first step, man. Before a path can be made in the grass, someone has to take the first set of steps that crushes the grass and maybe scares away the snakes. There's a risk of them being bitten by snakes, or stepping into a snake path, or stepping into a rabbit hole and breaking your leg. But if you want to create a path, someone needs to step on it and crush that grass in a straight line to get there.
100%.
And third person, and that's how it's done. So him being the first and the risks he's taking and the danger he's been in is vital.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Anyway, Donald comes in, but is stopped immediately by the maitre d'. Tony gets up and you just know he's about to do something. But actually he doesn't. In fact, unlike before, he's the one trying to figure out how to accept an alternative to the situation.
Yes.
De-escalate.
Yes.
But unfortunately, ironically, things have turned around because Don had reached his limit.
Yes.
Whereas the one character arc has led to him becoming more calm.
Yes.
The other character arc has become more
aggressive.
I don't want to use the word aggressive or prideful. Self-righteous? Self-righteous? Righteous? That's a tough word because you don't want it to be too mean.
I don't know about righteous. I mean, he has been righteous all along.
Yeah, but now
defensive?
I want to say indignant.
Indignant.
Mad at the indignity.
Ah, yes. I think indignant, yeah, would be fitting, yes.
Yeah, mad at the indignity. Yes, I think that's perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Unlike before, he's the one trying to, cool. And this is all an hour before the final performance.
Right.
Don says no, and then we get, Don says no. No. Okay, yeah. They get their final offer, and Don says no to it. Right, after they've tried to appease it.
Right.
And then place an ultimatum on the maitre d', which ends with Tony, the newly found reasonable one, being pulled aside, and Tony obviously takes Don's side in the situation, and then he gets told his second story of the night.
Yes.
This wonderful story leads to him trying to bribe Tony, and Tony rejecting it and slamming him against the wall.
Right.
Before he's stopped by Don. Don puts it in. Don then puts what happens next in Tony's hand, and Tony says, "Nah, screw him," and they leave.
Yes, I remember.
We see shocked people sitting on tables, and we see some of the black workers are smiling as the people watch stunned. They leave and end up going to a full-on black club. Mm-hmm. Ironically, getting slightly similar looks from the black crowd. All appears fine, and they end up having a good meal together.
Yes.
I want that yellow bird special. What was it? I said orange bird special.
You meant early bird. Huh? You wanted to say early bird special.
Good dog. It was very strange.
Okay.
Nice wall you got there, buddy.
So when I charge the laptop, then I don't have the background anymore.
Oh, okay. You died. Battery died.
Yeah.
Well, down to the last 2 pages. All appears fine. They meal together. And when he's paying, we cut to some very dark looks by the people at the end of the bar.
Yes.
And this promises two-sided. We kind of get like a two-sided promise of trouble. Right. That has already been shown before.
Right.
Where it's like, okay, on the white side there's trouble, on the black side there's trouble. Yeah. Whereas on the this time though, on the white side it was indignity or rather awkwardness, and now on this side it's violence.
Yes.
But that's to be seen later. The barmaid asks about his skill, and asks him to play. Now, I won't lie, considering the rejection he's gotten before, my heart was thumping in this moment because I genuinely didn't know what direction this was going to go.
Same here, because he wasn't playing on is it a Siemens brand?
Steinfeld, yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure if he was going to perform well there.
And I thought to myself, what if he plays his classical stuff and black people hate it?
Find it boring, yes.
Yeah. But if it turns out, on the white people he has to leave, and on the black side, everyone hates it. And for this moment, it was actually my favorite moment of the movie because of this, because I didn't know what was going to happen.
Oh yeah, I know you like those type of moments. Yes.
Like I want to feel something, dog. I'm like a drug addict where like I smoke weed to be normal. Right. You know, I don't smoke weed to be high. I smoke weed to be normal.
Right.
So now this gave me a nice hit because I actually fast forwarded. I fast forwarded to see if they were going to be clapping or booing. Otherwise, I was going to skip the scene. Right. That's how emotionally impacted I felt. Because in most movies, you can feel what's about to happen, or you get a general idea. But this one, it could go both ways, and you still have a good movie. If that makes
Yes. Yes.
So that's why I was tense. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. There's a moment where because up until now the movie has pretty much has been a very racism Oscar bait movie. Still a better movie than Crash, but still.
Wow, than Crash.
Yeah, Crash was terrible.
Wait, what?
Okay, have you watched it?
Bro, yeah.
Love it. It's such
Love
a
it.
movie, dog. It's the most.
You remember this movie came out when we were still in high school, bro. Like this movie came out what in 2004?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But it's dog, to me it's every cliche. Like this is more subtle.
But at the time, like, are you telling me that those cliches were prevalent? No way, dog. Like,
dog, Changing Lanes was more of an original movie. But okay, no, fine, fair enough.
okay.
But anyway, this is a moment that is genuinely had me wondering what will happen and fearing what I assumed would happen. Like a good example would be Get Out, where in your brain you're like, I think I know what's gonna happen, and I hate it. Anyway, I love the moment where he takes there's a little moment where he takes a little glass of the piano, which is a callback from a moment where he was like, I never want to be that kind of piano player.
Right.
I love that little callback. This movie's had a lot of hilarious callbacks. Anyway, what he plays is absolutely breathtaking. And everyone there stops what they're doing and just applaud his abilities, dog. It was beautiful. Like, I don't know if I'm seeing Super Saiyan piano playing. Feels like it, dog.
Yeah, no, he really, you can tell that he really spent a lot of time learning the piano for this movie. That's if he didn't know how to play before.
It's like him and Miles Teller from
Whiplash.
Whiplash, there we go.
But Miles Teller was already a drum player actually before.
Yeah, you're right. But still, the fact that they're actually doing it is what's amazing.
Yes.
Anyway, the band shows up and starts playing jazz, and jazz, being a very improvisational, untamed type of music, he manages to pull himself into the performance, and it all comes together brilliantly.
Yes.
I think that's why Whiplash was so good as well, because that was also jazz. And again, is it improv? It's, to me, jazz is like, you know how you get rap freestyling? For me, it's rap freestyling, but with sound.
Yes. Because you could see how he was trying to tap into the rhythm.
Exactly.
And he gets it. He gets it instantly. Yeah.
Anyway, this was an amazing moment that earned the film that this is an amazing moment that the film earned by building it up into an amazing emotional climax.
Right.
Now, a story can have multiple climax points, and this is what.
That sounds so wrong.
One of the main ones.
I'm saying that sounds so wrong, but I hear what you're saying.
I love it. I said it on purpose. Anyway, yeah, multiple climax points. That's why inanimate objects are always called woman, dog. That's why a ship is a woman and a car is a woman. Same thing with movie, dog, because it has multiple climaxes. Guys can't do it. Anyway, and this is one of the main climaxes. You could call this the climax of plot and ideal.
All right.
But then going home is the climax of character and inner themes.
Yes. Yes.
So there's two climaxes. There's deadlines, which was getting to the event, and the second climax was the Christmas promise.
Right.
Getting to the event is the promise of the plot, and getting to the Christmas thing is the promise of the characters.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cool. A good example of this being, of course, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, where the plot climax is the ring being destroyed.
Right.
But the character climax is Frodo going to the west with Gandalf, and then eventually Sam going to the west with Gandalf too. Those were the climaxes of the two different climaxes. Anyway, they leave the bar, and those men that had been eyeing them are hiding. But when Tony fires 2 shots, they run away.
Yes.
creating a subversion of expectations that surprised me that as it hit on multiple levels.
Yeah,
One
same
level,
here.
this nigga actually did have a gun that day.
So he was lying.
Yeah, he was lying. And you gotta get this thing of like this relationship that they have, because I think if it turned out that he had a gun that day, he'd have been told to throw that gun away.
Yes. And had he thrown the gun away,
Yeah,
they would have gotten mugged.
exactly. And yeah, they would have gotten hurt. And the fact that he doesn't do it now shows that things have changed dramatically. It's a nice clue.
Yes. Yes.
Because there's no way he'd let this man just walk around with a gun. No ways. But now he will.
Yep.
So it just goes to show
After what he's been through.
Yes, that this is a different person. This is a different Donald from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, their relationship has genuinely changed, and they drive through the deep snow through the night, putting them into danger. Because this man can barely see in front of him. But it gets worse when a cop pulls them over. This time, and you get that tension, the cop sounds aggressive.
Was it raining this time?
No, it's snowing. Heavy snow. It's basically a blizzard.
Yes.
This time, the cop is actually helpful.
Yes.
Because they've been driving with a flat tire this entire time. There's another subversion that even they laugh at. This is another subversion that they basically think is hilarious.
Yeah, no, that was a subversion and a half. I actually thought they were going to get arrested again.
Oh, yeah. I was like, talk about a weird ending.
Yeah.
But because a terrible... And also, it's also subversion because Tony has been struggling to look through that window for a while, on more than one occasion. So we've had like our 1, 2, okay, here's 3, it's going to be an accident. No. Turns out he keeps going. So this terrible accident you think is about to happen never actually happens. It's a nice little red herring almost. Anyway, Tony gives up because things are getting way too dangerous. So he gives up on the drive. He just can't. He's falling asleep and things are getting wild. Anyway, we cut to the family preparing to have their dinner. Tables are being set. When we see the car and discover that Don is driving, Don gets him out, and just such a cool subversion. I just thought that was a nice moment. Because yes, Tony's tired, but Don has been sleeping this whole time, so why not?
Yeah.
And you find out that Don is the one giving Tony his bag. Talk about a twist, right?
Hey, bro, but also, like, I didn't even think that Don could drive.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, so it's only at the end when you realize, oh, this guy can actually do this himself. He just doesn't want to. Going back to what we spoke about earlier.
And that's a cool technique of doing twists. When you realize, no, well, the twist is something that you should have thought of a long time ago. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. When the twist is something that you never thought of in the first place, it's a bad twist. But when it's a twist where they've tricked you away from common sense, and the common sense answer is right in front of you, that's a good twist. Right. Right. Like you said, they painted a picture of this guy not being able to drive or not being willing to drive, no matter what. Yeah. So, brilliant. Anyway, Tony offers to invite us into the family, but that won't end up well, and Don knows it. So he says goodbye. And we see Don driving away. Right. I thought it was going to turn out bad. Remember when the whole family came over because those 2 workers were there? So I'm like, okay, this probably will turn out bad. So probably a good idea that Don leaves. Anyway, the family is almost finished eating when he comes in singing, and the family cheers like it is. Like you know what their favorite team won. It's welcome, dog. Right. We get a look at Don as Amit puts his bags down and leaves Don to go home. And Don is just staring in an empty room and his empty throne. But he still has the lucky rock, though, which is a nice little callback. Right. Cutting back, we see Tony is thinking deeply as things are loud and happy around him. Yeah, people are even asking him about the letters. Hey, can you teach me how to write these letters, man? Yes, my wife is busy. Yeah. Yeah, I think the one guy's like, oh, Shakespeare. Right. Tony's a little sad and gets upset about the situation when the pawn shop Charlie shows up and is right behind Don, and suddenly Don is there. Don welcomes him in, and the crowd stares blankly. It's a funny moment, like just crowd says nothing.
I think. Do you think they were shocked that a black man came in, or they were shocked that Tony was embracing a black man?
I think. Okay, well, that's a good question. I would say a little bit of both, but probably okay, embracing a black man, I think. And then and the guy you thought would be the most upset welcomes him in.
Yeah.
The movie ends with a real life explanation of how things went for them and how their lives continued as friends until their deaths, only months apart.
Yes.
The Green Book was not a movie I was excited about. To me, it was just another pretentious, racist Oscar bait film. And in its own way, it was exactly what I was expecting, almost entirely through the first half of the movie.
Right.
But as with real life, it has subversions and emotional turns and high notes that I absolutely was not expecting. I am so impressed by this movie because to me, it's a cliche that was switched up into something heartfelt and genuine, with great directing and writing to keep things always moving forwards, and an adventure. And it had always going forwards and an adventure. It had me going so well. As jaded as I am, I felt worried for the people that automatically makes it an 8, and potentially even a 9.
Right.
A movie that's 100% saved by its ending and the tricky game of callbacks and setups that came together so perfectly. I have a feeling that the rating might drop upon a second watch because I'll know everything in advance.
Yes.
But as a first time watch, this is amazing. So 8.5, 8 out of 10.
I also give it the same rating. That's why I even recommended it.
Yeah.
I was immersed in the story. I was also impressed by Viggo's performance. And I was also I was also impressed by Mahershalaali's performance. I think he had some range in here. I have seen him in other stuff. I always think that he really delivers, like we mentioned before, he really delivers, when it comes to all these performances. But there was something specific about this, how it's like he always made sure to show you his hands and how thin they are and long they are, and as a piano player, and these rings that he's wearing to show you like the class that he has, the suave that he has, how he managed to speak and make sure that he doesn't use slang and whatever. It's like he was so much into character.
Oh, definitely.
That I genuinely saw someone else there. So I think they really, really did a brilliant job. Yeah, it's an 8 out of 9. It's an 8 to 9 out of 10, definitely.
100%. I feel.
No, thank you so much, guys. Is there anything that you want to say before we?
Nothing much. Just please try to support me. I would love to just price of a coffee, man.
So are you also selling Heist as well?
Oh yeah, it's $50 as well. But I'm just saying, just any book. I just don't have a copy of that book right now. But yeah.
Where can they find Heist?
Also online right now, ebook format. I'm probably gonna printing more in the near future. I'm just trying to pay back all my debts, and then I'll print more copies in the near future.
Is it also on Google Pay
and Amazon? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
iTunes, Amazon, Google Play. It's all there.
All right.
Right.
No problem. All right, guys. Guys, let us know your thoughts on this movie. What do you guys think? Did you watch it? Did you like it? Do you think that it deserves an Oscar, the Oscar that it got? Or do you disagree with the fact that it won so many awards? Do you think that it's just Oscar bait? Do you like Viggo's performance? Do you like Mahershalaali's performance? What do you think about our rating? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know all of that in the comments down below. And don't forget to buy Rob's books. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon so that you can get notified of any other videos that we might do. Also, give us your movie suggestions. Yes, we do have like a mega list of our own. But if you guys have some movie suggestions you think we should do, let us know. Thank you to everybody who's been checking out the Jackie Chan video. We are at 9 point something thousand. Yeah, 9 point something views now. So thank you so much for that on the Mr. Extrodin Universe channel. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Well, from me, Mr. Extrodin, and from Rob Sibeko, we'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.
Peace, man.
Peace.